Hi everyone, this is Shana from Shanuki. In today's video I'm going to show you this technique for the altered playing cards. For this technique you'll need a stencil, some gesso and some water-soluble crayons or acrylic paints or watercolors. Before I start the stenciling, I'm going to just prepare the base of the card. So I'm using some distress ink to do the edging. If you've seen my previous two videos for the other two techniques for my altered playing cards, you'll see that I've done the same, where I've just done the edging and then I've added a layer of Mod Podge and the tissue paper from a dress pattern. I like this as the starting point for my altered playing cards, and I've used it quite a bit, as you have seen or will see. So I'm just putting a layer of the Mod Podge on the card first. This will just seal the distress ink and also protect the card. And then I'm just putting on just a piece of the tissue paper. I do like to leave the writing or any measurements on there, as I think it gives it a little bit of interest. Once we're finished with the Mod Podge, we're just going to dry our work. Make sure it's completely dry before we start the next step of the stenciling. An alternative you could use instead of the tissue paper is from a napkin. You could use napkins or even just plain tissue paper, the type you use for gift wrapping. You could then use it to color coordinate with your project, and it could add additional interest to your altered playing card. I'm using this feather stencil. You can use any stencil, anything would really work. I just like the designs of this one. I found it in my local craft shop. I do have a few that I have in stock that I'm selling in my Etsy shop that you can find the link of in the description of this video. I don't have any special tool for spreading the gesso over the stencil, so I'm just using a piece of cardboard. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in all the grooves. I like if it overspills a little bit. It sort of just gives it a little bit of extra texture. So don't worry so much if it's not really in all the little nooks and crannies of the stencil. As you pull it off, you can see the beautiful design coming through. I haven't really used the feather shape. I'm sort of more just using the design of the feather. So you can't really see a whole feather on the card, but you can do it as you like. So I'm just spreading that through on the second card too, and then I'm going to give it a good dry with the drying tool before we start using the color on these lovely designs. I'm just using a soft wet paintbrush just to smooth off some of the clumpy ends and just to blend it in a little bit. We're going to give it a good dry now with the dry tool, and then we're going to add our color. For the color, I'm using these Faber Castell Gelato crayons. These two are from the metallic range. You could also use acrylic paints or watercolors. I just add a bit of color in certain areas, and then I'll use a soft wet paintbrush to go over the crayon. I like to leave some areas a little darker and some a little lighter, but this is personal taste, so you can work with this and make it look how you like. You could also put a second color or a third color and just incorporate multiple colors in one card, but for mine, for these, I'm just doing a single color for each card. I've gone with a lovely bright purple for the first one, and this one I'm going to do in one of my favorite colors, the turquoise. It's a little difficult to see in the video, but they have a metallic finish, so it gives it a little bit of a shimmer once it's done. And there you go, the card is complete. I'm going to take the purple card a little further and add additional elements to make it look like one of these. You can see the texture shining through below the additional elements. This is a good way to use up little scraps or little odds and ends that you may have, maybe some stickers or labels that you only have one of, or it doesn't really match any of your other projects. So it's a good way just to use up mismatched little items so they don't go to waste. I've just gone through my stash and found items that I like to use. I like the old-fashioned, the school label with the red trim. I also have little small ones with the blue trim that you'll see that I add near the end. I just use a glue stick to add my elements down. And I just trim off the excess once I have stuck things down. You can leave it to overhang if you prefer, or stick it around the back. There isn't really a hard and fast rule on how you will do that. Now, this messy background was irritating me a little bit, so I'm just putting down a clean piece of brown paper to work on a clean surface so it's easier for you to see my work. I also use the distress ink just to edge the elements, just to give it a little bit more dimension. You don't have to do this. You could also use maybe some colored pencils or crayons to make it colorful, whichever you prefer. I'm using a couple of stamps, just whatever the colors. I like them if they don't match 100%. I like them a little bit odds and endsy. I think it just makes it more interesting. You can add as many or as few elements as you like. You can really pile it on with everything that you have, or maybe just a few pieces like I'm doing here. It's a lot of fun, and they actually become quite addictive, and you'll find once you've made the first one, you'll want to make a few, and I tend to make maybe 3 or 4 at one time and work on them simultaneously as I find little pieces to add to it. Just going to glue down the last few elements, and then we're nearly done. And there's the tiny little label that I had mentioned earlier. I think they're really cute and I love using them. So that's our last element that we're adding, and there you go. Oh, I'm going to just add a date stamp. The oldest I have is 2007. I don't have an older one than that, but I'm just going to put any date and just press that down onto the label, just for some additional fun elements. And there you go, it's complete. So I've created 2 different cards in this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it. Please subscribe to my channel, as I'll have more videos coming in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.